Hey, everybody.
Oh.
Hi, we are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network, Gunner.
Well, during the commercial break, I did a little research and I saw what you gentlemen were talking about. And all I can say is, whoa.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
and
sir.
the video clip that I saw from Breakfast on Broad, Jillian and Sarah are asking all the questions, and all Barrett is sitting there doing is making facial gestures like this.
Yes. Yeah.
He ain't saying nothing, right?
No.
Now, you weren't on the show. What happened to you? Where were you?
I was off there. I was off there for a little bit. It was interesting. Yeah. No, we only fit somebody on a set. There was a whole thing. There was some interesting stuff.
This lady was a hoot, man. I
She
never saw that.
She was a character, man. I don't know. I hope she's still with us. Anyway,
you know what? The clip I saw, Rob, was from 2016. It said she was 80 years old then.
Whoa. Okay. She's 86 now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Anyway,
look at Rob trying to transition out of that real quick.
Good luck. Yeah, not easy. By the way, 1:30, Ben Davis. We'll talk a little bit about the Trey Turner signing, but let's hit this guy. So, in looking and digging a little bit deeper into the Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes thing, and you can debate who the MVP is right now, and certainly I think you can make valid cases, for Mahomes, for Hurts. There's others, Josh Allen, although he's struggled a little bit with turnovers, especially in the red zone, et cetera. There's a couple other guys you can make a case for sure. But if you look at it, you see the passing yards for Hurts. He's got almost 3,000. He's at 2,940 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions, averaging 8.2 yards per completion. He's got a 68% completion percentage, and a 108.3 passer rating. All damn good. Now you look at Patrick Mahomes, 3,800 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 65.7 completion percentage, 104.9 passer rating. Now you add in the fact that Jalen Hurts has 609 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns on the ground, which would be 29 total. Then you throw in there 283 for Mahomes and 2 touchdowns. And when you look at the completion percentage, you look at the passer rating, you look at how many more attempts, because the Chiefs throw a ton that Mahomes has. This is really tight. And, as of right now, Jalen Hurts' team is 11-1. Mahomes' team has 3 losses.
Yep, 3.
So, I would say right now the season ends. It should be Hurts. My guess is, no pun intended, Jalen gets hurt because the passing yards are more for Mahomes, and people look more at the passing yards than they do the running yards and the touchdowns.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I go back to last year and I just pulled up the stats. Now, last year, old man Tom Brady led the NFL in passing yards, 5,316. Led the league in touchdown passes, 43. Had a 102.1 QB rating. He was number one, and he threw more attempts than anybody else. He had 719 attempts. Aaron Rodgers finished 10th in passing. He had 37 touchdowns, but only 4 interceptions. His QB rating was 111.9. Yet Aaron Rodgers won the MVP and not Tom Brady. And I'm trying to figure out, so what exactly is the criteria for who is the MVP of a league?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's subjective, right? And I don't know what everybody's individual formula and what goes into the stew for everybody, but I just fear that when it comes to Hurts, they're not taking into account the total touchdowns, because he gets some on the ground. He's got 9 on the ground, as opposed to just throwing it, because we think the quarterback position just has to be throwing, et cetera. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. And look, Mahomes is already established, and we know that plays a big role in this thing, versus the one who's climbing, as opposed to the one who's already done it and been there and done that.
Well, how many yards did Carson have at the time he got hurt? Was it week 13 against the Rams? How many? What was his passing yardage? All his metrics.
All right, let me look it up.
So that would have been 2017. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. All right, Wentz in that season, in 17. I don't like the way Pro Football Reference does their stuff now. All right, so he
ESPN.com.
Yeah, he's got 3,000. He had 3,296 through 13 games.
Mm-hmm.
He had a completion percentage of just 60.2%. He had 33 touchdowns. He had 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He had a 101.9 passer rating.
So we at this point, he's got one more game. So Jalen throws for another 300 yards. He'll be right around the same as he is, plus a better rating, more rushing yards, more.
He won't get to the touchdown throws, but
no, I mean, you're talking about 6 touchdowns in one game.
Yeah, that's not doable.
But I mean, it goes to show he's right up there with the metrics of where you should be as an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Who's to know? If Carson would have won it, I think he would have that year. I think he would have still took us to the Super Bowl and more than likely won it also. I mean, that what if right there.
Yeah, it's
how different.
Yeah,
how do you think Carson's career would be if he hadn't got hurt in that Rams game?
Yeah, there's 2 what ifs off of that, Barrett. One is what you just laid out. What happens with Carson's career had he not blown his knee out there? And the other thing is if he does get hurt and they don't win it, we would have forever been bemoaning had he stayed healthy, they would have won it. You know what I mean? For as a fan, from a fan base standpoint, it's way easier. You're just like, hey, it's a shame for Carson, but the Eagles won, and it's a great story. But Carson's whole career changed. I think it changed because his knee's never been the same.
Yep.
I think his head has never been the same watching somebody else's backup win it.
That's definitely not.
More than anything else. I think he turned into trying to play hero ball guy.
Yep.
Because of it, he viewed it as every time he's out there, he's got to do everything or else he could lose his job. And now you look at it, he lost his job in that scenario and the guy won it. The next year he got hurt again. We tend to forget about that. And the guy took them to the playoffs and they won a playoff game.
And they shouldn't have won the second one if all they needed was a catch from
Alshon held on to it. Yeah, they could have won that game. Then Indianapolis can't get rid of him quick enough. And then Washington this year starts winning when he leaves. You're telling me that dude is like permanently not damaged from all of this? There's no way he isn't.
Can't get right.
Well, I find it interesting that, up until he got hurt against the Rams in 2017, everybody was talking about he was the odds-on favorite to win the MVP. He was 19th in passing.
Yep.
Okay. Now, he had only Russell Wilson had more touchdown passes. Russell had 34. Carson had 33. Mm-hmm. Again, that year, Brady across the board, leading the NFL, passing yards. He had 32 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, 102 QB rating. Carson had a 1019 QB rating. And I'm sitting there going, well, how was Carson considered the favorite when, man, there could have been a case for like 7 different quarterbacks but above him that could have just as easily
the team
said
was rolling too,
that too,
like this team.
Yes,
the losses were, they didn't have at the time. Were they 13? No, they weren't 13. They were 13.
I think they were 11-3, maybe when he got hurt. Because they did win that game. You remember Foles came in and they got down and they got a game-winning field goal. Yep. I mean, he took them to a lead on that play. He gave them the lead when he blew his knee out.
Yep. So that one play when he blew it out, man, jumping into the end zone,
dove across the goal line. Somebody caught him with a knee on caught him with a helmet on the knee.
To be exact, that wasn't that was called back with a penalty. Then he stays in there. I don't know how on a totally shredded knee and throws one. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Crazy. Yeah, that's right. Lane was holding.
Yeah, and I'm still. I remember him walk after he somehow throws that and they score. Like if you watch the side of his knee total as he's walking towards the sideline, just give
right.
Holy God!
What just happened? Yeah,
he had no ligaments holding anything together in his knee. Anyway, but
who was the player that said at one point they were playing without an ACL? I can't remember. It was a really good player who said they were playing without an ACL ligament. And I'm like,
an ACL.
How the heck are you doing that?
Well,
I don't know.
I tell you what, a guy I played with for 4 years. Hines Ward didn't have his ACLs.
Ugh.
When he was young, he snapped them, and his mom couldn't afford to take him to the hospital. So his body learned to do everything without ACLs.
Oh.
So here he is, this big time player leaving Georgia. He would have been a first round player because he did everything. He played receiver, played quarterback. He was like all SEC, you know what I'm saying? He was probably, MVP of the SEC. And he has no ACL.
Yes.
He still doesn't have it. His body just learned to play without it.
Yeah, that's wild.
Can you believe? I mean, talking about the human body being able to go out and fix itself and still be functional. He does not have ACLs.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Look it up. You can tell. Look it up.
No, I hear you. That's amazing.
He's at the combine, and they're going through all the tests of combine. He's like, where the hell is your ACL at? He doesn't have it. Well, I mean, his body got used to not having it.
Yeah. But regardless, back to what we were saying, I maybe we're not giving the voters enough credit. Maybe they will take into account the complete game that Jalen has, the all-around game. Maybe our thinking will have shifted away from just traditional drop back and throw, and maybe we're getting there. Maybe there's a recognition that the position has changed. I can't say for sure. I would say my fear is right now, if you ask me right now, with the numbers that both guys have, they probably go Mahomes right now, would be my guess. But I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, I don't either, but I've always looked at it as a popularity contest, like the Pro Bowl voting.
Yep.
And I could see Jalen being snubbed because of Patrick Mahomes. He's that wonder kid. He's the magician.
Everybody name.
Oh my goodness. Every time he does something, when he spins around 20 times and throws a 10-yard completion, just social media blows up in anything Patrick Mahomes does. And it should be based on more than that. It should be based on actual work effort and ethic and criteria. And unfortunately it's not. Now I just looked it up, the year that Carson got hurt, going into that Rams game, the Eagles were 10-2. Right. Going into that game. So and they still won that game with Nick Foles coming in and holding the team together for him. I don't know. It's a shame when you consider if anything, people should look at where Jalen was a year ago compared to where he is right now.
Right.
Only 3 interceptions, completion percentage, QB rating, total touchdowns, not just passing touchdowns, but total touchdowns. And somehow, some way, I think he's going to get snubbed because he's not the name. He's not Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
Plus, I think there's also you would hope that these people have paid attention closely enough, but there also is I think in some camps maybe a perception that he doesn't throw it well, like that he's still the same guy that the Eagles had to just run all the time last year for them to survive.
Stop.
I hope that's not the case.
Yeah,
because I look at his game, and you take Patrick Mahomes, you take Kelsey out of that offense. I don't think he runs the same. I don't think that he can be that effective without it. But you could take Dallas Goedert out, Hurts is still effective. You can take A.J. Brown out, Hurts is still effective. You take Sanders out, Hurts is still effective. I'm talking about a guy that influenced the game more than any other quarterback in the league. You got to say it's Hurts because he's shown the capacity to do it. You look at A-Rod right now. Aaron Rodgers is almost helpless without his boy down in with the Ravens.
Yeah.
So come on, man. You look at his game. Hurts is like, all right, I got a yin to my yang. I know who I can go to. I know how to get the ball out to my weapons. No matter, because, dude, we haven't had Dallas Goedert in the past 3 weeks, and he's still running that offense effectively. Man, you got to give him props, man. They have to give him props for that. They have to give him, the fact that he can go out and run for 150 yards and then turn right back around and be able to throw for 350 yards. Come on, man.
You know what, Rob? You being a native Philadelphian, you tell me whether you agree with this or not. Now, I've been here over 25 years, and from my observation, the one thing that I've always noticed is media on the outside looking in, people on the outside looking in, do not like Philadelphia. I don't know why, but
as a whole.
A whole. I mean, the sports teams as a whole, I don't know why. But and I've heard others talk about that, and I've said, you know what? Maybe there's some truth to that. And I have for the life of me, as I sit here today, I can't figure out why. It's a passionate for sports base.
Yeah.
It's turned out quality athletes, Hall of Fame athletes. They've had great moments. The only thing they've lacked is championships, but still, it is a vibrant sports community. And yet, people on the outside looking in have this disdain for Philadelphia. I've never figured that out.
I think it's the misperception of the fans. I think it's or misconception of the fans. I think they're viewed as sort of ingrates, eat their own. This label, which I think is the most bogus label there ever is, like to run the player out of town and all those kind of things.
Right.
And I think that seeps over into the teams itself, where I think that it's typically viewed Philadelphia's viewed as this sort of like city of Neanderthals, and from a fan perspective.
Yes.
Where, the other team's bus pulls up and you have little kids giving them the finger. Meanwhile, if you talk to the athletes, the opposing athletes, they love it.
Yep.
Mhm.
They love it because they would rather go somewhere and have the fans care enough than fans be yawning. You go play a game against the Orlando Magic. Boy, there's a lot of fire there. Like, it's a yawn fest. But you take on this fan base, they're up for it. The second you're pulling in, Eli
Cardinals
Manning
also
talks about it. Michael Irvin talks about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I think, Derek, to answer your question, I think part of it it's a fan thing more than anything else. I don't know why it's been that way a long time. And let's face it, the years of losing took its toll on a lot of people. And fans can be negative at times, but I think it's some of that. Here's the other thing I will tell you. I worked at ESPN. It was my first job out of college. And while there are people from all walks of life there, everybody all over, scattered from all over the country, it's predominantly Boston and New York.
Yeah.
So there's an inbred rival there that's natural with those cities, and those cities want to crap all over Philadelphia, just like Philadelphia wants to crap on New York and Boston.
Right.
So sometimes you're going to see some slanted reporting when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Absolutely. It's like you hate everything about Boston and New York, and I see it in you all the time, man.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. It's inbred, man. It's and Dallas. So but I think that comes place. I will say the other thing, and this is I'm kind of getting off the point, but there are a lot of people up in arms that ESPN. Yeah, I think it was on Get Up. Is that the Greenberg show? Get Up, is that what it's called?
Get Up.
Mike Greenberg show.
I'm not sure.
Get Up. I get them all confused. So they had this these odds for what their research department came up with. The Eagles were fourth to win the Super Bowl, and the Cowboys were first. And there's a lot of people in the city up in arms. Keep in mind, they do this kind of stuff. It's like a provocative poll question. You want to do it to get people to react. That's why Skip Bayless is in business, because he says things that get people cranked up. And they know when you dangle the carrot in front of Philadelphians, even though they say, we don't, you don't like us, we don't care. That's BS. They care. They'll get all cranked up about things. So maybe some of that plays into some of this stuff.
Well, you mentioned how maybe it's perceived as a Neanderthal mentality about this city. You can say the same thing about Boston and New York. Because, hey man, let me tell you, there's some ignorant fans up there. I've seen some ignorant fans in those areas, man. Okay,
yeah,
and I mean, downright just belligerent fans. And the only difference is they've had the multitude of titles.
Yeah,
but in terms of just a fan base, I don't think Philadelphia is any worse than Boston or New York.
No,
to be honest with you.
No, I would agree.
But yet they get this black eye as the consummate hate, venue across the country. And I've never understood it.
It has a lot to do with what happened like 40 years ago. Was it 30, 40 years ago when they threw snowballs at Santa Claus?
Yeah. They still talk about that.
It was more than, it was like 68. Yeah, it was a long time ago. And that's brought up all the bad stuff, the batteries with JD Drew, all those kind of things are just, frankly, it's
they threw batteries in me.
Yeah,
I was an Eagle. I was on the Eagles roster right then.
Yeah. There have been plenty of incidents, but it's like the only issue I have is I don't care that you bring that stuff up, but it's for some reason it's overlooked in other cities when there's really abhorrent behavior. Oakland. Look what happens at Dodger games with
my goodness.
You remember the father-son duo beat up the first base coach in the White Sox.
Absolutely.
Those two maniacs.
I remember back in the day when somebody got stabbed at a Raiders game during the game.
Yeah.
How'd you get a knife in the stadium?
Somehow they don't wear that same label. I don't know why. That I don't know. I can't answer that. But it's yeah. So back to the Jalen thing. Look, I think he's put himself in the position to win it. And think about that.
No question.
When we went into a season not really sure what he was, and we're sitting here now and he's in an MVP race with Patrick Mahomes, that's pretty cool, man. It's pretty awesome, the strides that he's taken. I'm blown away how much he's gotten better with his completion percentage, how much his passer rating is up. Like they're so impressive, those numbers. We knew he could run. Yeah. But he's become such a better pass, and he doesn't give the ball away either. He's got 3 interceptions. Well, I know he had the strip sack a couple of weeks ago, but he doesn't give the ball away either.
Put it like this: I'm sitting back and I watch the touchdown he threw to Smitty. On that play, they had trips to the right. They had AJ Brown as a wide guy. The next guy in was who was it? Quez, and then they had Jack Stahl, and that's the trip side over there. On the opposite side was Smitty by himself, so he knew he had to go to the one-on-one. But he looked, and this is how he played it. He looked over and he looked to the right, and he watched the routes develop on the right side, knowing he's been going to AJ Brown the entire time. So AJ Brown, he draws the double team. They bracketed him on the outside. But then they ran 2 crossing patterns, high-low crossing patterns from the opposite side of Smitty and the end. And that safety, that too high safety, kind of got locked in on Jack Stahl because that's where Hurts was looking at. Mm-hmm. He looked at him trying to keep that safety to come over because on the backside, Smitty was running a post. And on the post, when he was going in, he had to look at that safety to keep the safety off the post on the backside. So he stayed with Jack Stahl, looked at Jack Stahl, and that one step, that look, gave that safety one step, and he stepped towards Jack Stahl, and he was able to throw it in behind him, and he knew he couldn't throw it too far inside because the safety was there, so he kind of underthrew it a little bit to bring Smitty back to the ball in order for him to catch it uncontested, and he was able to walk into the end zone. Wow. Those are the little things that he's doing now. Yeah. He's finding the one-on-one matchups in defenses, and he's getting it to them. Just like the touchdown with A.J. Brown. One-on-one on that side, even though he's been killing them, they decide to double-team Smitty on the opposite side, and he gets the ball to A.J. Brown on the play. He is really breaking down the defense and understanding where he's supposed to go. His pre-snap reads are getting better. He knows how to look guys off. He's doing everything that you want from your starting quarterback.
Yeah, he's becoming a complete quarterback.
No question.
Really is. All right, let's get a quickie. We'll come back. We will dig into the playoff, the way the seeding is setting up right now, and get into just the good fortune, the wealth of talent, the riches that we have here in Philadelphia sports with some of the big names now that Trey Turner is going to be added. So we'll dip into that as well. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, I'm going to tell you about Pro Action Restoration. Yes, Pro Action Restoration. If you have a home, a business, a property that you may own, and they've been through the unfortunate situation of a fire, of water damage, of smoke damage, mold damage, whatever the case may be, they are the people to call. They are the people to get in contact with because they're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. I've gone through it personally, and they've gotten I had Pro Action get out to my parents' house on a Saturday, thankfully cleaned up everything, and it was a peace of mind, and the price was reasonable. The crew was great. They're licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction with your insurance company also. So again, it could be water, could be fire, could be smoke, could be mold damage. You name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.